Is emotional intelligence EI or EQ? You know, a lot of people use these interchangeably, and I've heard a lot of people ask me that question. When people say EQ, are they talking about emotional intelligence or they're talking about something else? You know, so which one is EI and which one is EQ? So I'm going to take you out of that quagmire today, right? But let's start from IQ. What exactly does IQ mean? You know, IQ measures your ability to reason. It's logic, right? So when somebody comes late and the person comes late today, it means the person is a latecomer, and that's logic. That can be mathematical, it can be quantitative in nature and all of that. So IQ measures your logic. Now there's EQ. And what is EQ? EQ measures your ability to recognize emotions in the midst of a situation. So when we're talking about the same issue, somebody came late yesterday and is coming late today, it means he's a latecomer. From a logic perspective, when it comes to an EQ perspective, you'll be able to recognize, is it comfortable coming late? Was it comfortable when he came in yesterday? Did he seem like he felt comfortable? And when he was coming in today, still very late, did he feel a sense of urgency? Did you see him feeling that sense of urgency because he's late? Now, we're not just looking at the fact that he came late yesterday and he came late today. That's logic alone. In order to make our conclusion, we are now looking at his emotions. What was he feeling when he was coming in? What was he thinking when he was talking to you about the late coming? Now we are adding emotion to it. We are beginning to identify emotion in ourselves and in the other person in the midst of a situation. That will be the difference between IQ and EQ. So where does EI come in the midst of all of this? EI is simply an abbreviation for emotional intelligence. E, emotional, I, intelligence. EI, emotional intelligence. So why do people use EI and EQ interchangeably when they know that EQ is a measure of one's ability to recognize emotions in themselves and in other people, while EI is emotional intelligence, the capacity to practice the management of emotions? Why do we use them interchangeably? Nothing. It's just more classy to say EQ. You know, like IQ, EQ. You know, it sounds contemporary, right? It sounds great. That's the only reason. There's nothing else. It's just because it sounds great. So the next time you hear someone say EQ, be sure that they're not talking about the measure of emotional intelligence. They're just talking about emotional intelligence before you go ahead in that discussion. And then you can ask them that the EQ you said, are you talking about EQ measure of emotional competencies, or you're just talking about emotional intelligence, so that they can give you clarity? But honestly, in this day and age, most people will use EQ. I try to use EI as much as possible because that's the right thing. Emotional intelligence, EI. But I could say EQ too, because EQ is very interesting to say, very classy, very contemporary, and you could find yourself saying it too. So there's a difference between the two in terms of the meaning, but a lot of people just use it because it sounds good. EQ. But I wouldn't be surprised to hear you say EQ too.